HONEYDAY is coming soon to Bee Swarm Simulator, so if you'd like to make quadrillions of honey, or just make some extra honey so you can buy the extra items you want, today I'm going to be giving you guys every single tip and trick you'll need to prepare for the HONEYDAY event, because if you're not correctly prepared, it could ruin it for you. Starting off with tip number 1, your nectars. Now this is pretty much a given every single time there's a HONEYDAY event. You want to have as many boosts as possible, but one of the most important ones for you to have is your nectars. Now of course what you could be doing is macroing a ton, you know, pull up Nate macro, pull up the planners section, and just macro until you have all 5 full nectars, but maybe that's a bit challenging for you, which is also why you can head over to your vials, which are probably one of the greatest things to ever be added to Beast. Personally, I myself am going to be grinding some extra invigorating vials. Now you might be wondering why I'm telling you to get vials instead of actual nectar. Well, it's because HONEYDAY might not actually be guaranteed to come. Now don't get me wrong, we are getting a HONEYDAY event before this BEESMAS ends in 7 days, but there's a chance that BEESMAS is actually going to be extended. Of course, that's a topic for a future video that I'll cover. For now though, just know that you can macro nectar. I'm going to be macroing vials. Now after that is your bosses, specifically not to defeat them. Now you might be wondering, well, that's stupid. Don't defeat your bosses. Why in the world would I do that? It's free stuff. Well, yes, you should be defeating your bosses, but if you're someone that struggles with micro converters or fills up your bag fast, you're going to want to save your bosses. King Beetle and Tunnel Bear, for example, are both guaranteed to drop micros, and from my experience, Coconut Crab can drop upwards of 10 micro converters every single defeat. And when you're boosting for HONEYDAY, obviously you're going to be using a lot of micros, so you're going to want as many in stock as possible. Now that doesn't mean you're just going to stop defeating all your mobs right now. I would say wait until Onnit actually announces HONEYDAY event, because I guarantee you guys, Onnit isn't just going to randomly summon the HONEYDAY event and that's going to be it. He's going to give us an update most likely a few days in advance, being like, hey, HONEYDAY is coming soon this weekend, so don't worry, you guys can go ahead and defeat all your mobs now, but just know that whenever Onnit decides to announce this, you should stop. As well as always make sure you have a full 15 mic. And if you have any of the BEESMAS decorations unlocked, like Gummy Bear's Gummy Siege specifically, make sure not to use it the night before HONEYDAY, otherwise that's just a huge waste. Now of course when it comes to HONEYDAY boosting, you're wanting your hive to be good. Obviously you want to be all prepped already, and so of course obviously if you have any filler bees, you want to get rid of them. Like I'm going to get rid of my gifted spicy bees that I use for Robo Challenge, but specifically the bee you want to make sure you're taking care of is your digital bee. Now digital bee is probably one of the most overpowered things that can happen to a hive, but only if you have drives. I'm still working on getting my full 500, but if you can actually get the full 500 drives, it will allow you to make so much more honey during your HONEYDAY. I kid you not, it's the difference between making it onto the daily honey makers and not making it. You want to make sure that in these next few days, you try and grind as many digital bee drives as possible for your respective color. Now heads up, this of course is only if you yourself have a digital bee, but if you do, make sure that you're trying to get as many as possible, because if you're looking for a way to up your honey this HONEYDAY, this is definitely one of the most effective methods. Another effective method to up your honey is strawberries. Now you might be wondering when I lost all of my brain cells. You might be thinking, well, what in the world do strawberries have to do with honey making? They literally have nothing in common. I guess you can use strawberries to upgrade your bees, but that's about it. Well, trust me, you do need strawberries for this HONEYDAY event, just not for your bee. You actually need them in order to obtain a boost. That's right, you guys might be reading my mind right now, probably because it's pretty obvious. It's the Galentine's Day blessing. This thing is overpowered for all colors, but especially blue hives. If you're a blue hive, this thing grants like 50% capacity for 48 hours, which for you basically means 50% honey for 48 hours. For those of you who don't know, in order to get the Galentine's Day blessing, you have to donate at least 50,000 strawberries, and you're guaranteed every single time you donate a strawberry, it does have a 1 in 50,000 chance to actually give you the blessing. But once you've donated 50,000 strawberries total, it will give it to you. So I'd say save up your strawberries, and right when HONEYDAY releases, donate 50,000 to the Wind Shrine, so that way you can get your Galentine's Day blessing. Of course, heads up, only do this if you're an endgame player, otherwise your strawberries will be extremely valuable to you. And also heads up, you can only get the Galentine's Day buff once, so if you've already gotten it earlier this BEESMAS, don't donate strawberries. You will just be wasting a ton of materials. You cannot get Galentine's twice. Now after that's a pretty obvious method, which of course is macroing. Now I don't just mean macro a ton of honey, although if you are a blue hive, make sure that you're setting up your macro beforehand, just so that way when you do your first boost, you can macro with your balloon blessing. Trust me, as a blue hive, you do not want to use your HONEYDAY balloon blessing. Your goal is to keep that up all 48 hours, as you can get a heck ton of honey. Anyways, the main thing I want you guys to macro is your wealth clock. It's pretty simple, it's pretty easy, but that extra 1.05% honey per pollen is still pretty dang good. I mean, heck, say you make 100 trillion honey a boost, and you boost 5 times this BEESMAS, using the wealth clock buff, you'll make an extra 25 trillion honey just by having this. Seriously, there's no reason not to macro your wealth clock. It is literally just free honey, and I mean, who doesn't love free stuff? Of course, they do say nothing in life is truly free, and that does apply here, because in order to macro the wealth clock, your electricity bill is probably going to double, and your PC is going to catch on fire due to being the same temperature as the surface of the sun. But other than that, it's free honey. And then, of course, there are always the easy ones. If you're a white player, make sure you have enough gumdrops, make sure you got jelly beans, make sure you've got your Robo Party as a nice level in the days leading up to it so you can get Robo Party Blessing, and make sure you can get enough Stick Nymph Blessing if you need it. I promise you guys, use these tips, you will do amazing. Now, of course, I did state earlier, it's not guaranteed that HONEYDAY is coming this week. It's just gonna happen if BEESMAS ends, but there's a chance it will be extended. I actually have a fair amount of evidence that BEESMAS will be extended, which I'll be talking about in a future video. So if you'd like an instant update on if BEESMAS actually ends up extending, which I hope it does, you don't even have to subscribe, just hit the bells. It's way more effective. You'll be notified as soon as BEESMAS extends, and as soon as Sunbear's Quest finally released into this dang game. Oh my gosh, it has been weeks. But with that said, thank you so much for watching, Bee Swarmers. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Sleep well, sleep tight, or whatever the crap. Don't fail your tests. Do well in school. I'll see you guys in the next video.